Ta-da! In the top right-hand corner, ladies and gentlemen, from Team Liquid, it's Zenio. And he is facing off against his opponent down here in the bottom left. From Team Prime, he's so good. You guys know him. It's Creator. It's going to be our blue Protoss. So the map's Daybreak. It's huge. It's fun. You can build your gateways down here and hide them, and it's awesome.
Creator...
Unfortunately, Huck's the only player that does that. So everybody just checks there for his gateways.
I just wanted to say, like, Creator in game number 1, when he was actually going for the official push, like, forget all the macro stuff, when it actually came down to him coming down to the natural into Zenio, the way he pushed was so well done. Oftentimes, you'll have your Colossi kind of grouped up, just pushed together, and he actually came down in like 2 waves of units. He had like a nice amount of Stalkers, a nice amount of Zealots, and then a Colossus behind it. And then on the right side of that, he had Stalkers, a Zealot, and then of course another Colossus. And he was able to push these 2 waves at once, and then just cleared Zergling so quickly. And I just wanted to point that out, man, how much control he actually had in game number 1 to make his army as efficient as possible at dealing with the front line.
You look at how StarCraft 2, has the tendency to ball units up versus a game like Brood War. And, there's obviously been a lot of discussion. I've seen videos, in fact, where they changed the unit behavior so that units would not ball up. And against, units with Splash, or what I really like in that situation is it's going to make him less vulnerable to fungal growths. And if he were to get attacked by some sort of a flank, he doesn't have all his eggs in one basket. So if suddenly there's a group of roaches that pop, around the corner, and one of your Colossus is out of position, both your Colossus aren't. Your other one can escape to safety, and that's one more Colossus you're going to be able to save, and maybe make it a completely cost-ineffective trade because your opponent wasn't able to score both kills.
Yeah, especially with Fungal being there as well. Of course, they can land the Fungals and just kind of lock them down. Just overall, great play there. Nonetheless, Nexus first here, followed him into a Forge. Looks like Creator has read his opponent in game number 1, realized they go for 15, pull into a 15 hatchery, and of course it's kind of hard to actually punish a Nexus first with that route. So here we go, Pool does finish up, and we are now going into the early game OZVP. The waiting game ensues.
Well, Pylon is down on the low ground actually after the Pylon on the high ground because he used the Forge to wall off here. Zenio only making 4 Zerglings right now. We'll see if he decides to queue up any additional. And the answer is no. These are going to be spawning, making their way across the map. We will have to see a couple of gateways from Creator. In fact, he's going to go for the very fast Photon Cannon. It will be possible for these to try to run by and come back into the mineral line here to be a little bit of a pain in general. But once the Zealot's out, they'll be perfectly fine.
Wanted to point that out. It's really cool. Been seeing a lot of Protoss players putting their Forge in the main. I think Grubby was the first person I actually saw it do it, but I think it was actually in the Korean ladder that it's actually been happening. It's where he picked that up from when he went and traded a little bit. But the idea behind it is really, really nice. If you get cheesed or whatever, you're still going to be able to hold no matter what if you go Nexus first. So it's kind of a nice little safe opening. Now, of course, the disadvantage, like you just pointed out, is that natural, unfortunately, is a little bit on the open side. If they go for an earlier pull, like a 10 pull, so you will lose, of course, your Nexus and still be behind. But it gives you a chance to fight back into the mid game. So that's always really, really, really awesome to see. And we've been seeing a lot of players actually starting to pick it up. Zerglings are grabbing the map. And actually, I noticed in game number 1, Zenio's doing a good job of just laying the map out here with vision. Just the complete center of it. It looks really, really nice.
Yeah, I mean, actually, if we take a look at it, there is almost no way a probe can get in a second here when this Overlord arrives here. Every single route is covered. You can't get a probe this way. You can't get a probe that way. That's really all your options. So he's going to have very comprehensive vision of the map. And now we see, we'll take a look at where he hasn't scouted. It's basically this is the only area that's still like the dark, dark fog of war that has yet to have even been explored. And these Zerglings should be heading there momentarily.
And with this vision here, it's been able to allow him to get a 15-second earlier hatchery than you normally would. Because you usually check around to make sure that everything's safe, there's no pylons down or anywhere. But he's able to get that third just a little bit early. And that's enough time to squeeze out an extra drone. Just a nice, very, really effective way of getting your economy going.
Yeah.
Well, looking into the gases, what do we have here? We have a total of 3.
Yeah, this is actually pretty scary. So, Creator, one of the things I remember about his little funny, he's got this thing, Tim. When he likes to do Immortal Sentry Ellens, he just loves to, drop his Robo and then go over here and drop his gas. And it was saw this Robo go down, and I was like, I wonder... but only 2 gateways right now, and a pretty quick second gas, so it's entirely possible he could throw a Twilight Council down behind this. He has yet to have started +1. But he is starting up with an Immortal before Observer. I mean, I don't know, man. Every time I see that, that's what it is. It's an Immortal Sentry. So we'll be keeping an eye on what Creator's going for.
So it looks like he's wanting to squeeze out a couple more immortals
Yeah.
for this push here, because he get delayed to +1. So at this point, he's going to slow down his push here about a good, what, 20 seconds here? But he wants to grab +1 a little, or no, I'm sorry, grab an extra immortal or two. So this is kind of interesting. It might be a little bit more powerful. It's a little more delayed, but it's really strong. Yeah, Stalker does pop out. He's want to clear any overlords that are above the Zelnaga towers, being in the area. And this really helps him do that. And he also sees where the Zergling goes too, so he can find a pathing into where he can go to where it doesn't get scouted.
Yeah, this is just like an adorable version of the Immortal Sentry all in. He's just tailored a little bit so it looks different. It's like, hey, look, I grabbed my second gas pretty quick here. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I had 3 gateways at home, so I'm probably not immortal. Well, there's only 2 gateways, sure, there's not 3. But, you know, making only 2, let him grab this quicker second gas. He's going to be able to be very Sentry heavy. And it probably doesn't look too much like an Immortal Sentry all in because of how quick this these 2 gases were from Zenio's perspective. We'll see if he gets a good read on it. He is making Zerglings right now, so that's definitely a benefit to his favor.
Well, +1 is on the way, speed is on the way as well, but yes, the Lings do help out a lot. The other part of this is he can go into Hydra if he really wanted to. Hydra's been, oh, actually, there it is. The Hydra Liston is on the way. So a lot of players are actually going, I swear to God, it's the Heart of Swarm effect. Everyone's realized that Hydras are so good in Heart of Swarm, they started putting it into their own ZVP here in Wings of Liberty, and actually it may be like that. The Hydras really help out a lot. It's really important to get the creep spread though, because you want to make sure you're able to defend that third. And I don't think you can really get the upgrade out in time in terms for the extra range, but it really helps in terms of DPS. First off, if you're even force filled behind these sentries, you can still get a nice little shot on them as well. So overall, Roach Hydra is a good way to hold this off, and it's one that's been worked on a lot. Here we go, going straight into Hydra, and he'll actually follow up a lot more Lings too, because it's really gas heavy to go Hydra.
He's got lots of Zealots with this as well, definitely prepared to deal with these Zerglings. Really good read there out of Creator. And look how he's buying time. Zenio doing a great job right now, forcing these units to dance back and forth, getting more and more time to prepare for this attack. His Hydralisks are getting ready to spawn, but Groove Spines is still quite a distance away right now. Yes, huge warp-ins.
This is really, really tense here. You need about 14 to 15 Hydras to feel pretty safe, and then just the follow-up of excess minerals, you go straight into, of course, Lings. He does kill off one pylon here, but the Warp Prism's available. Yeah. And that's what's really, really important here, and you can't really snipe it, and it's really hard to get to. A lot of players are kind of just holding them off. But +1 does finish up, and it looks like the extra range is going to finish off as well for the Hydras. It's going to be nice and helpful. Can he come in from behind with the Lings? He does have a nice patch. He's actually killing a pylon because he A-moved those Lings. And there we go. He runs straight on in. Force fields do land, but the Hydras are... See how that range is really helping out? They're getting some damage in, actually.
Yeah, but the hatchery here is basically serving as an extra large force field, and that's making things so difficult for Zenio. If he's able to engage a little bit further forward, it's so much better, but all of his drones have died. All that's left now is Hydralis. All 3 Immortals still on the field. Yeah, they don't deal a lot of damage to Hydras, but they do deal a lot of damage. This hatchery is getting dangerously low, and all that's left now is very squishy Hydralisks.
See, the only really bad thing about that is he's lost all of his drones here. If he kept the drones mining, I think it would have been okay in terms of like falling up with Lings, and also a macro hatchery in the main. One would be really, really nice. But the Hydras are doing a nice amount of damage, but it's just not enough. The push was really, really strong here. And was it the extra Immortal that really topped him over the top, or was it just purely because he engaged at a point where that hatchery was at an extra force field? You need to try to push out with those Hydras and try and get a couple of... just a couple, like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 in there to get there to get some extra damage in and force some force fields. Because if you see 4 Hydras, you're not going to think, okay, he's only bringing 4 Hydras in. He's bringing them all in, so you automatically throw down some force fields to try and catch him. But yeah, you're right. The engagement there was a little bit off, but still, it's such a strong push, and it's really, really timid how you deal with it.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up game number 2. Creator starting off with a very decisive lead here. As you said, maybe Zenio need to force out some more force fields. Well, we'll see. After a quick commercial break, guys, coming your way, we will be moving on to game number 3 after this 2-minute break.